The Ouachita Trail stretches 223 miles from Talimena State Park, Oklahoma to Pinnacle Mountain State Park, Arkansas. Ranging between 300 feet and 2,600 feet elevation, the OT has a total elevation gain and loss of 35,000 feet, passing through forested mountains, sweeping valleys, and clear running streams on both public and private land. The trail traverses the pine and oak-clad Ouachita Mountains, the highest peaks from the Rockies to the Appalachians. These are unique mountains running east to west rather than the more typical north to south ranges. The trail offers year-round hiking, but the most comfortable hiking seasons are fall and spring. I was up for the challenge and decided to head out on January 5th, hoping for a peaceful and adventurous through hike in a new area of the country for me. Section 1 parallels portions of the 54-mile Talimena Scenic Byway between Talihina, Oklahoma and Mena, Arkansas. The OT crests winding stair and rich mountains, opening a showcase of wooded mountains and valleys. One of the biggest through hiking mistakes I've made was forgetting my sleeping pad, and I realized it 4 miles into the trail. I originally planned to hike in about a mile the night before and set up camp, but it was raining, so I decided to sleep in my truck. Lo and behold, I never grabbed my pad again from the back of the truck. After a few minutes debating if I should return or not, I trekked on. The sun set early after a long first day on the trail. Fog engulfed the mountain, and I spent about an hour hiking in the dark before making it to the shelter. It was almost easier hiking without a headlamp to reduce the glare. There weren't many panoramic views the first couple of days with all the fog, but I was just happy to be out in nature, filming a new video, and testing some new gear. There wasn't one piece of clothing I regretted bringing, and all the layers were necessary. From the first night on, my shoes and socks were seemingly always a little bit wet and or frozen. Well, it's day 3 and the sun is finally out. I think it's gonna get up to 50 today, so I'm excited. It already feels warmer, so let's get going. By night 3, I made it to Queen Wilhelmina Lodge in State Park for my first resupply box. It was still very brisk and windy, but the sky had finally cleared up for a magnificent sunset. I found a corner in the lodge to relax in the warmth while organizing my food and using the Wi-Fi. I still don't have much experience hiking in the rain, especially freezing rain. My goal for today was to hike as quickly as possible to make it to the next shelter and take the afternoon off. Up until now, I still hadn't run into anyone else on trail, and I certainly was not expecting to see any other hikers out today. It is freaking frigid right now. It's times like these where I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Just gotta push through it. I know I'll warm up here in a little bit. I know I'll be able to cozy up once I get to my campsite, get back in my sleeping bag with my warm socks. But for now, there's a coating of snow on the ground. Everything is frozen. My socks were frozen. My shoes are frozen. My shirt was a little crumply from being frozen. So everything is freezing and including me. I'm now getting used to waking up and putting on frozen wet clothes. If I keep moving, I know by around 10 or 11 a.m. my feet will be all warmed up so I could take off a layer or two up top. The most important thing was to remember to keep my sleeping bag dry no matter what. It would be downright dangerous if it got wet and froze. I set up a tarp to block some wind at Foran Gap Shelter and was treated to another stunning sunset. No matter how tough a day on trail can be, I've learned to push through it, and I know that eventually I will be rewarded. Well, it's another day on the trail. Heading to Suck Mountain Shelter today, like 18 miles away. Gonna call Lori from Bluebell Cafe and arrange for a ride tomorrow somewhere. Head to the cafe, have a nice meal, get my last resupply, hopefully charge some things up, and then get back on the trail. I've been thoroughly impressed with the abundance of water on the OT. Except for a couple long stretches in the beginning, I was never worried about running out. The many stream crossings also kept things interesting and were fun to maneuver. About 120 miles into the OT, I made it to Highway 27, where I arranged a ride with Lori, the owner of Bluebell Cafe and the #1 trail angel of the OT. I was excited to get my last resupply box and a hot bacon cheeseburger with fries. I eventually got a ride back to my truck to finally pick up my forgotten sleeping pad before continuing eastward. Somewhere in my filming process, I dropped a trekking pole into the creek, and it took a couple more pass-bys to find it again. The cold was starting to take a toll on me as I found myself more apathetic towards simple things like even filtering and drinking water and keeping up with food. By now, I was about 150 miles in. I had been constantly checking weather updates and talking with friends and family that were saying a massive cold front was sweeping the US. A snowstorm was coming, and it was going to reach negative real temperatures overnight. My stubbornness wanted to keep pushing, but I knew at some point the hike would not be fun and borderline dangerous, and so I reluctantly arranged for a ride back to my truck and called it quits. Another remarkable through hike in the books. I have still yet to finish a long trail, but my goal of just getting outdoors is again fulfilled. Oklahoma and Arkansas are two of the most underrated states in the country, and I encourage everyone to explore the Ouachitas to their heart's content. I surely will be back one day to finish the wild Ouachita Trail.